In question number 6, we're going to use the modified version of our infinite geometric series formula to do these problems, rather than to assume we're going to cut up post-its or use our calculator for fancy calculations, and I think that'll help us make sense of this. So even if the theory behind all of the development of the formula didn't really make sense, hopefully the actual usage of the formula will make sense, because that's the practical part. That's the part that you are going to have to do. I purposely developed the whole formula so you can understand where it comes from, but that's not the part that you would ever be asked to really duplicate. You'll never be asked to do that derivation on your own. You'll never be asked on a test or a quiz or in math analysis, where did the formula come from? Show me where the formula is. That's not really the point. The point is, use the formula. Find the sum. And that's what we'll do in number 6, letter A. As a reminder, you may want to have some notes available so that you don't have to memorize the formula, but we're going to use the formula for number 6, letter A. So let's make sure that we understand what is required of us. First, we know that this is an infinite geometric series because it says in the directions pretty clearly, find the sum of each infinite geometric series. The ... is also a context clue that implies that this is an infinite series. It's going to go on forever, so I need the modified infinite geometric series formula. Now, to use this formula, it appears I only need to identify 2 key pieces of information. A sub 1, which is the first term in the series, and R, which is the series multiplier. So let's take a look at this series and see if we can figure out those 2 key pieces. A sub 1 is the series first term, which is logically the first number in the list, so A sub 1 must be 3. R is the series multiplier, so if I look at this pattern, 3 divided by 3 is 1, divided by 3 is 1/3, divided by 3 is 1/9. So dividing by 3 is the same as multiplying by 1/3. That means my R must be 1/3. Now we will continue to refer to dividing patterns by a fraction multiplier, so writing this as 1/3 should be pretty customary at this point. Now let's use our formula. The formula says to take A sub 1, which is 3, over 1 minus R. R is 1/3. And that's all I really have to be able to evaluate. The nice thing is on top, 3 doesn't have anything to do. On the bottom, I have 1 minus 1/3, which is 2/3. Now I should clean this up, and if you're not too familiar with fractions, this might be a good usage of what we used to call keep, change, flip, where I'll keep the numerator the exact same, 3. I'll change the fraction itself, or the division, to a multiply, and I'll flip the denominator to become 3 over 2. Now we can multiply 3 times 3 over 2, which is really like 3 over 1. Times 3 over 2, you can multiply across. 3 times 3 is 9. And on the bottom, 1 times 2 is 2. If you're more comfortable with decimals, it is completely okay to use a calculator. Even if in a calculator you want to type 3 divided by parentheses 2/3, you'll end up getting a fraction as your answer, or sorry, a decimal as your answer, but that decimal is equivalent to the fraction we got of 9 over 2, so you can write your answer whichever way you want. Both ways are acceptable. Both ways would be accepted on tests and quizzes, and of course, going forward to math analysis, both ways would be acceptable there too. So now that you've seen that example, see if you can try at least one more. If you feel as though one more example isn't necessary, in the next video, I'll do one more question. I'll do letter B just to ensure that we're okay. But if you feel like you get this and you don't need to watch another video, I would suggest you try to do at least letters A through D. In the video to follow, you'll also see an example of how to deal with letter E, because letter E is in sigma notation. It's actually the exact same thing. So if you want to challenge yourself without watching any more videos and try to do the entire rest of the page, that's great. And if not, you'll see videos for letter B and letter E available in the playlist in case you feel like you need more structure, more examples, or just want to follow along with something, even if you are willing to try it by yourself.